this is Miss Andrea. I am recording this video from a hotel bathroom. I want to talk about my 13-year YouTube journey, how it was unsuccessful. It has been unsuccessful. It is unsuccessful. And why I started making videos again. I have like 4 pages written out, and forgive me, I am going to read it so that I'm not all over the place, because this is my probably 3rd attempt at making this video. Okay, so this is about my 13-year YouTube journey and why I started making videos again. So when YouTube started, and I discovered it pretty much the first year it was started, I also had a writing job. I wrote for a living. I homeschooled during the day, and I wrote at night, and I edited and submitted my articles in the morning. Back in the day, you could literally Google the words "write for cash" and find writing jobs. That is much harder these days. I have been solicited lately a lot, but I've been ignoring it because I really don't want something else to take my attention again. So I wrote for many years, 2005, I think, until 2012. I wrote for Yahoo, parenting, Examiner, AOL, and I ghost wrote for several bloggers. That was a thing, that's still a thing. And I was almost to the end of my homeschool journey. I think maybe my son was a senior, my daughter was a junior, or my son was graduating and my daughter was a senior. But it was during that time when Google, our lovely parent company, did what us old-time content writers like to call the panda attack. Google Panda ruined our lives. Back then, depending on what site you worked for, your work was monetized in the same way that YouTube videos are monetized. That's probably where they got the idea from. And we made $2 for every 1,000 views. And I typically made $2,000 a month before I ever wrote a word. And from, I want to say, September through December, that amount was doubled because my Halloween and my Christmas articles did very, very well. So I was very happy. But the economy was also bad, and my husband was underemployed. And so the jobs that I had made a big difference in our household. So when Google Panda struck, and I went from $2,000 a month to $200 a month overnight. Like 1 month I made $2,000, and the next month I made $200, and it kept going down from there. And the articles that I was getting paid $15 from Yahoo to write became $5 because so many people were losing jobs and flooding the freelance writers market and underbidding us. So everything was just failing at that time. Yahoo ended up closing down the content writing farm and hiring really big names. I like to say I lost my job to Katie Couric because they hired Katie Couric and 2 or 3 other really big names and fired several thousand people who were making a decent living, but you know how much the big names get paid, so it is what it is. So after all that happened, I focused in on getting the kids into college, as a homeschooler would do. And I just played around with some other passions that I had. I've been costuming shows for my daughter for a while, individually costuming her, and then eventually I got called on to costume for the entire class. I also worked with a friend in New York and did some costuming for him. I have credit to an off-Broadway show. I do. But I was attracted back to YouTube about 2 years ago when I bought my new home that I had to decorate. I haven't decorated it. I bought something here and there, but hubby and I have both decided that it needs some concentrated, okay, now it's time to go room by room and say, okay, here's what we have for this room, here's what we need, and to do that. That'll probably be part of the channel that starting with him. It's a really weird channel because he wants to be on the channel, but he doesn't want to be on film. So, like, you're hearing his voice right now, but you're not seeing his face. And it's a weird concept, and we'll see what happens. So, as I was saying, I came back to YouTube around the time that I bought the house. And you'll see 2 years ago, there's a spurt of me doing a lot of videos. And then once again, I stopped. I just got super discouraged. I was getting zero traction, and it was right after they changed all the rules for monetizing, because I was monetized. I was monetized from the early days of YouTube, and that got taken away thanks to those brothers who went out to like China or Japan and did that horrible thing in the forest, showing dead bodies. Tried to get remonetized, and it wasn't working. So I gave up that personal goal. I'm into so many things. I think I costumed a couple of really big shows, and I was costuming for a public school. So, as I had done before, I let the people who were paying me a reasonable amount keep me distracted from what could potentially be a much bigger paycheck. And it's a shame that we all do that. And I get it. We need to go where the money is. But at that point, I personally had the luxury to say no to the jobs and hold out, for YouTube monetization and stuff from there. And I did not. I just got discouraged, and I went back to making costumes. So since then, I left the board of that theater. I was on the board of that theater, and I left the costuming, and I never acted. I do write and direct still, but I left most of that to my daughter because she's actually an amazing actor, an amazing costumer, and I don't want to be in her way. I'd rather support her than compete with her. It feels ridiculous to me, especially when it's been her dream and I just kind of fell into it. If she asks me for help, I'll help her. Anyway, during that time, I admittedly got caught up in the whole Shane Dawson thing. Like, I'd watched his videos before, especially like with Shanna Malcolm. But I think that was right when Tanagate happened. And so I watched that video, and then I watched the Jeffree Star thing, and then I spent the next year following the makeup thing. And I bought the makeup. My daughter and I bought the makeup. And then we had the COVID blow up. And it reminded me, the COVID blow up and then the Black Lives Matter thing, because they were in the middle of COVID, they were still somehow killing Black people. So when all that happened and YouTubers started apologizing for things they did and things that I was kind of aware of in the back of my mind, but I had let go, came to the forefront. And I was reminded one of the reasons that I was happy to move on to just being a writer back in 2007, 2008. It was the racism for me. It was. People didn't just say mean things when they disagreed with something I wrote. They didn't just say, "You're an idiot, you don't know what you're talking about. I disagree with you." They didn't say those things. They called me the N-word monkey woman. Sound familiar? Like, they called me all those things that the YouTubers who I loved said in jest. They called me an ape on the regular. They said mean things about my kids who were almost never on film. Like, my kids would bust into the room when I was recording, and they'd come over, stick their face in, and I'd send them on their way. And that would be the glimpse you would get. Because I just have this whole other thing about kids on YouTube, and I worry about their mental health. But that's neither here nor there. Well, it is here nor there, but we're not going to talk about that right now. So the racism really got under my skin. The popularity got under my skin too, because people that I knew in real life would walk up to me and start talking about a video that I had made, and that freaked me out a little bit. So between not being anonymous and being attacked racially, it just made following the money and not sticking to the hard work of building the YouTube channel easy. In time, following other passions, costuming, some homeschool advocating, mostly helping people get into college at that point. I wasn't doing homeschooling help full time for the same reason. As a Black homeschooler in a conservative Christian community, I was dealing with a lot of racism. And in all honesty, the community theater world was the only place that I wasn't dealing with a lot of racism. There was some dismissal. There was some accidental bias, but artists are generally, they're a little kooky, but they're way more loving. So basically, I followed my passions. But then after that whole apology tour thing, and I was like, these people that I've been following for years have done the worst things. And don't get me wrong, I don't turn on people. I don't believe in cancel culture. I believe in counsel culture. So if they ever want to speak to me, I'm here. I'll speak to anybody. I don't care. But I figured, like, why can't I make it on YouTube? I was doing really good back in 2007. Now I realize things have changed. I didn't have a single gray hair in 2007. Not one. I was thinner. I'm working on it. No, I really am. Expect a weight loss journey this year. Expect my face to thin out. I have consulted with the doctors. There will be medical intervention. And that's all I'm saying. That's probably on the channel with my husband, because he's going to be very involved in helping me. So, a lot has changed since 2007, but I had a lot of views. And it's all just so messed up. So anyway, it's just still super hard to get monetized. It's super hard. And I personally have a roadblock that a lot of new YouTubers don't have. I am in a genre that is a white space. I made a video on white spaces. You really should watch it. Homeschooling. People who want homeschooling advice. People who want homeschooling advice aren't necessarily receptive to the advice of people who look like this. Red chocolate bar. I don't know why my face is so red. It is not a black space. It is not a black welcoming space. It's changing, but homeschooling is segregated, y'all. So there's just a lot of subconscious bias when it comes to being a black homeschooler on YouTuber. So if we talk about subconscious bias, that's the thing that makes you, search for whatever you're searching for. Get a bunch of search results, and then you click on the people that look like you. That's subconscious bias. And so since there aren't a lot of people that look like me, homeschooling, my views are minuscule in comparison to someone half my age who just started homeschooling. And I realize those people show off their kids, and some people like to see that, but I'm like, if you really want advice, you should ask someone who's been there, done that, bought the t-shirt, I would think. So it's fine, it's cool, it's good. I know who I am, and I need to be more authentic to myself. I've found that authenticity seems to make subscribers go away. Especially the group of subscribers that I built up 2 years ago. It was a good mixed bag racially, but it was also very conservative Christian, and so I was very careful of what I said. I'm not anti-conservative Christian. I am Christian. I just don't believe with the religiosity going on right now and the policing of other people's bodies. That said, to go ahead and be more authentically myself so that the following that I built up are interested in me and what I have to say, and not try to say what people want to hear, because that's not gonna make a good channel. Yeah, and so nothing's gonna stop me. I'm just gonna do this work. You're gonna see my channel evolve, just like when I was writing for those websites. My writing evolved. My first handful of articles were for and about homeschooling, for homeschoolers about homeschooling. And over the, however many years that was, like 8 years, by the time I was done writing, by the time that those writing jobs ended, I had written a whole series that are still published on a site called, I think, AOL Finance. It was written for AOL Money College, and it was about finances getting into college. So I was writing about personal finance for AOL. For Yahoo, I was writing about homeschooling. I was writing about party planning. I'm an artist. I'm an artistic person. I'm also financially smart, and you see that if you look at some of my more recent videos. I've done some prepper things. I have like a crappy room cleaning video. I need to do that room over. There's decorating that has to happen. But my most popular videos aren't even about homeschooling. They're about what's going on here and now. And while I am passionate about homeschooling, and while I actually run a not-for-profit for homeschoolers, that's just a part-time job. It only takes me 2 days a week. I still have 5 days a week to spend on something that's fun and that'll take me and my husband into retirement. So that's all I have for today. I'll edit this video. Well, I stopped and stared a few times, so I will edit this video. But that's all I have for today. I promise to be authentic. I promise to be real. I promise to be me. I promise to add value. The best way you can help me add value is for you to leave a comment and ask me a question. Preferably about homeschooling, about education, or maybe marriage, since I've been married 30 years. Or maybe if you like my style, you haven't seen that much of it yet, but ask me a question and that will guide me. If it's something completely off the beaten path, I'm probably just gonna ignore it. Cause why? But you know, I'm 52. My kids are 24 and 26. They live with us for now. They were getting ready to get their own places when COVID happened. They were gearing up. We are, what do you call, we're the sandwich generation. We have parents we're taking care of and adult children we're taking care of. And so that's who we are. That's who I am. And if I'm gonna make the YouTube channel work, I kind of just have to be me and not worry so hard about what people want me to say. And that might mean a little less homeschooling, a little more me, but I'm okay with that. Are you? Until next time.